Welcome to She Lancer, Mom Entrepreneur with VoiceOver Angela. I'm your host, Angela. I'm a full-time voiceover artist and audiobook narrator, and this podcast are the audio versions of my live Q&A chats on YouTube. If you'd like to be part of the live Q&A chats, come on over to my YouTube channel, VoiceOver Angela. I'm live every Tuesday at 12 p.m. EST. We talk about voiceover, the business of voiceover, audiobooks, and so much more. Find more information on my website, voiceoverangela.com. Enjoy today's episode. Hello. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, wherever you are. Thank you for joining me again for another live Q&A session here on my channel. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Angela. I'm a full-time voiceover artist and audiobook narrator, and my channel is dedicated to those of you just getting started out in this wonderful world of voiceover and audiobook narration. And through my channel, I share with you tips, tricks, techniques, things that I do every day in my own voiceover business, and then we get together in these weekly chats to have a conversation about a topic or five. Again, we'll see how it goes. But today we are talking about finding work and building your voiceover business. We talk a lot about script interpretation and, formatting and some technical stuff and even some performance stuff. But I figured it was time to talk more about back end and perhaps where to find work. So if you are watching today, if you're in the chat, please feel free to share where you find work or how work finds you, right? Because as we discuss quite a bit, there are many different ways to find work, and some of them take work, right? You really just can't build a website or build a profile, build a demo, and then expect the world to come knocking down your door. You have to go out and get it, right? You have to think like a business. So that is marketing yourself. That is, and there's different ways to market yourself, I guess is the best way. You are marketing yourself pretty much any which way you think about it, whether it's on a pay-to-play or a freelance marketplace, or if it's on social media, if it's email marketing, it's all a form of marketing, right? Auditioning is even a form of marketing. So any which way you look at it, I guess it's marketing. But important for any business, including ours. But that is not the only thing we're going to talk about today. So if you have questions regarding perhaps rates, invoicing, any other back-end admin type of things, I've been getting a lot of questions about that sort of thing lately. So I know they're out there. So if you have the questions, then please ask. That's what we're going to be talking about today. We have a poll. If I can find the right banner, we have a poll that's usually the topic of today, and that's what we're talking about today. Is I want to know what you guys are having the most trouble with, I suppose. Like, where are you getting? Hang on, let me silence the old phone. Shh. That's better. Where are you having the most trouble? Where are you getting stuck? Perhaps what is, where do you find that you're, like, what is a setback? What is a challenge, an obstacle, however you want to word it, for you currently in your business right now? 29% of you said rates and pricing. None of you said admin and invoicing, which is surprising. Those are important. They're important. So I'm hoping that just means that you guys are good on that we've talked enough about that you're good. Of course, always the major concern is finding the work and marketing yourself. And then 33% of you said technical and or booth, right? Setting up your recording space. I am limited in characters in the responses in the poll, so I have to be creative, but that's basically what that is. So we'll see if we can touch more on the finding work and the marketing aspect, and then we'll touch, we'll see if we can touch on all of those today. But as always, this live chat is for you. So let's get to the questions and see what you guys want to know. or what you would like to share with everyone else watching. Who's first in? Caesar. Oh, hi, Angela. It's nice to have all of you back. It's nice to have all of you back. Let's just say last week was a little light in the chat with a lot of my platinum members out in the audiobooks at sea. So it's nice to see everybody in the chat. Caesar says, I really wanted to say none of the above, and that my biggest issue is having enough time in the day to do everything my business needs. I wrangle with time for meetings and recording. That's a good problem to have, Caesar. I think you're probably going to have to get real about your time management and what is a priority. You may even have to, in some circumstances, raise your prices or be a little bit more discerning on what you offer in terms of services. You might have to cut back on the number of meetings perhaps that you have in a day, or increase your prices. I've had to do that a couple times to sort of slow the flow so I can breathe. So I totally understand that. So it sounds like it may be a time for you to do the same. He says, I have meetings throughout the day, and by the time I'm done, I've lost my window of opportunity to record anything as roosters and road noise creep into my 90% soundproof studio. I'm starting to reorganize my time to allow for both billable meeting hours and recording hours, but it's a juggling act that would make Penn and Teller proud. I'm also addressing that 3% soundproof. Of course you are. That said, hello, Angela. I had something exciting to share, but I forgot what it was. I'm sure it'll come back to you. Oh, yes, my studio is now air conditioned. Nice. No longer hits 93 degrees. I also bought an analog compressor, and it is very attractive. We saw a picture of it in, I think, the last group meeting we had, right? You shared a picture of it in the chat. Very attractive compressor. Dylan is here. Hey, Dylan. Dylan says, I agree, Caesar. I feel spoiled because my only problem is finding time to complete the work I'm getting. Increase your prices, Dylan. You may have to increase your prices. You got to do it for your own sake. I mean, what happens if you end up burning yourself out? No work is getting out. None. If you burn yourself out, or you just lose the love because of the stress that it's causing you. You might have to be a little bit more particular about the jobs you do and or increase your prices for your own sanity. Caesar says to Dylan, oh, I know, right? And let's not talk about our broken sleep schedules. Say, how's your booth coming along? Dylan says it's coming along slowly. It's hard to work on it at 1 a.m. when the rest of the family is sleeping. It's all drywalled and everything. That's cool. That's exciting. There'll be 4x2 with 4 inches of rock wool and a 2-inch air gap. I have a 5 and a cloud in my 6x4 studio. Caesar's sharing more booth building materials. I purchased mass-loaded vinyl and a cable conduit. Hope that'll take care of the last bit of soundproofing. Carol is here. Hey, Carol. Good morning. I'm new here. I joined a little while ago, but haven't had a chance to jump on the live chats and enter the polls. Well, glad you're here. But I love all the info from everyone. I do have a question regarding crackling during dialogue in my audio. Could it be the microphone or the DAW for the connection? Unfortunately, I have to re-record. Crackling, in my experience, and I'm sure Caesar is somewhere in the comments with a similar answer, usually crackling is connection, like a poor connection, or and connection could be it could be to the power sources, it could be the cables, it could be perhaps the cables are not properly seated into the interface and or microphone. I mean, it could be a number of things. It could be perhaps, what's our word I'm looking for? like if there's electricity, you know, dang it, what's the word I'm looking for? But long story short, it's usually a connection, right? And I would even say potentially, depending on what you're recording on or how you're recording it, it could also be. And here's one thing that I don't mention often enough is if you are recording on a DAW or recording anything, I suppose, if you're a voice actor, audiobook narrator, don't use Wi-Fi. Hardwire your internet into your computer and whatever you're using, because connectivity could also affect, like the Wi-Fi could also could also keep your signals not as clean. And that's also going to help you when you start getting into live directed sessions with clients, when you're recording with other voice actors with like a dual or a duet narration, when there's a Zoom call, if you're going to be collaborating with someone else online, it's imperative that you have your internet hardwired, meaning plugged in, versus using Wi-Fi. Anything you can do to give yourself the cleanest connection possible from your computer to your workstation, or anywhere in between, meaning don't use extenders. Like if your cables from your interface to your computer is not long enough, don't use an extender. Purchase a singular long enough cable to go from one end to another. Hardwire your internet. Make it as easy as possible and as clean as possible with no interruptions in the connection from start to finish, and you'll have a better end result. And good quality cables, they're worth the investment. I always like talking about Mogami Gold. They're recommended in the VO gear on my website of things that I recommend that you use. Mogami Gold cables. No, that's not a promotion. I'm just telling you what works. Carol says, oops, I have to then re-record the dialogue portions. I'm working on a 14-hour thriller, fun and exhausting at the same time. Oh, there's Caesar. Could be a number of things. Cable lacks shielding, mic could have humidity damage, or you need to raise buffer size. Start with raising buffer size, see if that helps. Tanya said, I had that too, Carol. It turned out to be faulty cables, something to consider. I switched them out one by one to check. Rustic Hillbilly is here. Good morning, everyone. Good morning to you, Rustic Hillbilly. I like where Pamela's going. She says to hit the like button. Yes, please. Takes a second. I appreciate it. Thank you. My cup of tea says, good morning, y'all. I tried to try and answer the poll. I think my issue lies in accountability or camaraderie, a brother in arms of sort. Another way to, I think, frame it is just do it. I totally understand where you're coming from. Again, something I mention a lot is to join groups. Join those groups on Facebook. Join workshops or masterminds where you have voiceover audiobook narrator peers, like my Platinum group, right? You can find that on my website, voiceoverangela.com. Not only can you learn from your peers, but you can also vent to people who understand where you're coming from, or truly genuinely cheer you on because, again, they understand where you're coming from. Group support is everything. As a voice actor, you're not in an office with a bunch of people. You're not in a group of people. You're typically in a room by yourself, talking to yourself for hours on end. It's lonely. So you need the camaraderie, you need the support from like-minded people who understand what you're going through and can genuinely help, cheer you on, lift you up, whatever it is that you need. You need that. Trust me. It's something you should do in the very beginning. I mean, making connections on social media is great, but there's something to be said about like monthly meetings. Again, like my platinum group, where we get together once a week to catch up, to talk, to work on scripts, to do whatever it is that we're doing in the group that day to learn and grow, but also connecting with friends who become, not to sound cliche, but they do become like family because they understand you. You making connections with people who just get it, right? Do it for not only your business, but for you. Trust me, if it's not my group, just join groups, please. Help. Trust me. Natalie's narration says, "Good morning, Angela and everyone. Enjoying lunch with you in between chapters of a book I'm narrating. What you eating? What's for lunch?" I'm struggling with the marketing part, not my strong suit. I totally get the marketing part. As an introvert, and every time I say that, everybody goes, "What?" Yeah, I am an introvert. So I understand the coming out of your shell to intentionally reach out to people, because when you're an introvert, you don't like to people. But if you've decided to become a business or start a business, unfortunately, that's part of the gig. You have to people, right? And making that first reach out, that first touch, it's hard to do, especially as an introvert, but it is part of the business. It's part of finding the work. You know what I mean? Again, you can't expect everyone to know who you are, where you are, unless you make it known. And you have to make it known through marketing. Now, again, marketing can take lots of different forms. You can market yourself by creating profiles on the voiceover casting sites like Voice123, Bidalgo, all of the different voiceover platforms, or on freelance marketplaces like Fiverr, Upwork, so on and so on, social media, email marketing, and it's not as scary as you think. You have to sort of detach what others think of you, basically. You have to think of yourself as someone who has a solution to a potential problem that your client could be having. And I want to make it known that I have a solution for you. Here's how I can help you. They either take it, or they need it, or they don't. But believe me, there are millions of businesses out there, small, medium, large, that potentially could use your services, but they don't know where you are or who you are. So that's where you make the initial reach out. I know it's hard to do, but it's something you have to do. Or if you have the capital, hop onto Fiverr and hire someone to do it for you. Hire yourself a virtual assistant that can help you with this. A marketing manager, someone that can help with the things that perhaps there's just too much trepidation or whatever it is. You can hire someone to do that for you. Test it out for a month and see how it goes and see if it's worth the investment. It might just be the thing that makes you go from here to here. And you just continue to be an introvert in your studio by yourself and just paid someone else to help you with the marketing. My point is you can't just sit idle and expect everything to work out in your favor. You have to go and get it. So you have to really sit and say, okay, if this is something that I really, truly want to do, I need to take accountability and take that first step out of my cozy comfort zone and just make that first initial reach out and touch. Just try it once or twice. I mean, realistically, it's going to take a lot more than that. But I mean, once you get past that first initial hurdle, that first initial speed bump, roadblock, however you want to phrase it, it gets a whole lot easier. Right? But I get it. It's tough. It's tough to do. But if you want this business to thrive, you have to do it or pay someone to do it. Dylan says, I find so much work at Comic Cons. We need to talk more about those too. Handshakes, business cards, and a little information straight to the author goes a long way. See, that's another, getting out of your comfort zone. In going to an event that you yourself enjoy. That's what makes it even more fun. Going to a Comic-Con or some other kind of convention that is something that you enjoy. As a voice actor, you're not just limited to character voices or audiobook narration. You're not limited to that. Think of voicemail greetings, informational promos, commercials, right? Informational how-tos on YouTube and how to use a product. As a voice actor, you can help a business, any kind of business, in many different ways. So don't think small. Don't pigeonhole yourself into, well, I can't do character voices, so I'm not going to introduce myself at a Comic-Con. Well, you know what? That same small business owner may need a voicemail greeting, right? You have to make it known that what you do. Okay, tangent, stopping. You can't charge a huge rate, but somewhere in the $100 to $150 range for, you mean like per finished hour for an audiobook? I mean, you can be flexible in your rates for special events, right? In the early stages, decide on what your rates are going to be for what, right? Like for commercial work, for X amount of words, I'm going to charge this much. And then for audiobooks, I'm going to charge this much per finished hour. And whatever it is, create yourself like a rate card that you can reference or send to a client when they ask for it. And you can make those on Canva really super easy. I think I have a video in my playlist that shows you how to do that. But you can be flexible for special events. So if you go to a Comic-Con, you can say this is a special rate only for the Comic-Con, and this is what I'm going to offer you. Typically, my rates are X. So that way, I mean, it's transparency. So that way, if they go to your website and they see a completely different rate, then you can, they'll know why. Or maybe it's just, I don't know, information oversharing. I don't know. I think I'm going way too deep with it. But anywho, Natalie says, excuse me, I also need to start exploring other platforms other than ACX once I finish this book. Yes, you do. Oh, yeah. Thanks, Dylan. PFH, yes. Nicole says, hi, everyone. Hello, Nicole. Ron Knoll says, hello from Grand Haven, Michigan. Good morning, Ron. Kat says, hey, Angela. Hey, Kat. Thank you again for these lives. They're so super useful. Good. My question is, does anyone know of a 121 training service, either online or in person, UK, where they teach the software side? It's a good question. And I have to say, YouTube is probably a really great source for a lot of technical how-tos. I mean, if you go to YouTube and punch in the search bar, whatever DAW you're using or whatever interface you're using, whatever microphone you're using, you're bound to get a choice of different videos on different aspects of that particular piece of hardware or even software. And you could probably glean enough to figure it out by watching a handful of videos. Just saying. But I personally don't know of any training services. You could also even look into audio engineers. I mean, depending on what kind of software you're referring to. But most of them are pretty adept with most. I could probably help you out with that too. But Cup of Tea says, morning, y'all. Thinking through it more, I think my drawback is technical booth. Yeah, that is where it sort of gets tricky because, again, everybody's space, equipment, voice, environment, everything is there's so many variables. So it's hard to just give everyone an easy list to go, okay, do this, do this, do this, do this, because there's just so many different variables from booth to booth to booth, from even person to person to person. So I think there's a lot, again, that you can glean from YouTube or from learning in groups, but ultimately, I think you may need to just get with somebody one-on-one so they can like tailor-made or do like a booth audit where they can help you sort of tailor your particular space in the way that you're, to help your sound be its best, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Tangents are rolling today. Golly. Finally using my mug warmer so my coffee's not cold. It's the little things, Katya, am I pronouncing that right? Katya? Hi, Angela. Newbie here. Question. Is it smart to start at a $200 per finished hour as a newcomer to narrations on ACX? I mean, ultimately start wherever you want to. For those of you that don't know, industry standard is $250 per finished hour. But if you're looking for, I'm just tell you, for me, I felt bad charging a lot in the beginning because I felt I didn't know all the ins and outs, right? I was not experienced enough to be charging close to industry standards. So I started out at a lower rate and then thought of that as sort of paid internship, right? I didn't expect to make, a lot of money in the beginning as I was learning and as I was growing in my experience. So I took jobs that were, I think my first book was actually royalty share. And then after that, my first per finished hour book was $50 per finished hour. But going through the process from start to finish in those two different pay types gave me a lot of experience and a lot of confidence, knowing that I could do it and what to expect in audiobook production going forward. And then I just slowly increased my rates. But that is the way that I did it. That doesn't mean that you have to do it that way. So if that's where you want to start, absolutely start there. Start at $300 per finished hour. Start wherever you want to. It's up to you. But you may be a little bit hard pressed to find anything other than at that pay rate is, you might be hard pressed to find more jobs at that pay rate, depending on your audio quality, your performance, right? If, let's just say, the author thinks that your quality, your experience level doesn't reflect that, your pay, your rate, you might not find much work. I mean, just being completely honest. So I don't know. Again, I think I'm trying to dig too deep into it, but I would say before you start charging $200 per finished hour, just to know that everything is up to snuff with your audio quality and your performance. If you're not already in a group, join a group, not just for you, Katya, but everybody watching, and get feedback on it, right? Because you don't want to charge a lot of money. And not that, stop it, Angela, I'm trying to sidetrack myself. You want to make sure that your audio quality is at the same level of what you're asking rate-wise, I guess is what I'm saying. So get some feedback on your audio quality and your performance, for sure. Dylan said, hi, Ron. Lots of Michiganders here. I'm around the Jackson area. David Brumfield is here. Hello, David, from Ontario. Ziegel Zoran, a.k.a. Joe. Can't wait to have these kinds of problems. I know, right? Being too busy. Nikolai says, I'm still really new. I've been learning a lot about Adobe Audition, but still having trouble with compression EQ, getting my voice to sound really crisp, like those pro demos I hear. And those pro demos didn't start out as pro demos. They all started out probably the same ways that yours did, you know. I could guarantee you that all of us starting from zero didn't have a clue. You know, didn't even have the ear to determine whether or not it was good or not, right? Again, the best way to go to make sure that your audio quality is up to snuff is either join groups, get feedback, and get tips to go that way, or hire an audio engineer that can work with you one-on-one to help you with mic placement, noise reduction, treating your booth, all the things, just to be sure. But don't discount yourself because you think your demo is not pro, right? No one starts out. No one's first demo sounds the way they do much later in their careers, right? You can't compare apples and oranges. Makes sense. Donnie's here. Hey, Donnie. Here, just on the road, so no mom looks for me today. Oh, yeah? Oh, yeah? I'll give you one. I'm having issues with deciding on pricing and rates due to my accident. I have tons of time to record. I think that's something we could probably touch on one-on-one, but elaborate, Donnie. Let's see if we can help you out with this. Eddie says, long-time listener, first-time caller. That's funny. Still trying to get my first job, trying to stay positive, but it's starting to get to me. Trying to do all aspects of this by myself is difficult and overwhelming. Totally relatable. Almost 8 years later, it's always been just me doing everything. So I get how overwhelming it is. But it does sort of become like muscle memory, right? As long as you have a good system, a good way to keep track of things, having like a good schedule and agenda, you could always hire a virtual assistant, someone to help kind of streamline things for you, right? If you're concerned about not getting a job, depending on how much auditioning you've done or what you've put in marketing-wise, auditioning, so forth, sending out demos, and you're not getting any jobs out of them, you might want to consider getting feedback on your audio and your performance. And it could very well just be that the audio quality is fine. It's just you're not the voice they were looking for, and that's okay. That doesn't mean that you suck. It doesn't mean that you should give up. It doesn't mean that you should be hard on yourself. You have to remember, the most important thing to remember, one of anyway, is that clients are looking for a specific delivery, a specific voice, tone. They usually have a voice or an idea of a voice in their heads as they're writing the copy that they're writing. They have an idea of what's going to fit the tone, the style, the purpose of whatever it is they're creating that they're adding the voiceover to. So if your voice isn't what they're looking for, that has nothing to do with you personally. You're just not the voice they were looking for. So you have to remember that. But the more that you put yourself out in front of clients, AKA auditioning, sending out your demos, the more opportunities you're going to have with crossing paths with someone who is looking for your voice, your style, your delivery. So you just keep going. Just do it. Just keep going. Just keep auditioning. But don't let it dissuade you, because this is also very normal. With any kind of business, you can expect roughly a 10% return on investment. And in this case, your investment is the auditioning. So roughly 10% of what you do is going to result in money back to you. Roughly, right? Some may be 6%, some may be 20%, some may be, but roughly. Point is, most of the clients that you send your stuff to, you're not going to be right for. And that's okay. It's expected, right? Doesn't mean that you suck, right? Hello, Humera. For me, the crackling was because of the connection. Oh, good. So you figured it out. Awesome. Caesar says, Nikolai, it's not that difficult. All you have to do is, well, okay, it's kind of difficult. Donnie says, so Dylan and Caesar, please carry the torch and get some mom looks for me. You already got one. Like, share, and subscribe. It helps this amazing lady that we have grown to know, love, and respect. Oh, Mama Angela's a goddess. Well, I don't know about that, but I'll take the compliment. Thank you, Donnie. I appreciate you. Carol says, I am using Wi-Fi. Hardwiring next. Yes. Yes. And I tell all my podcast clients that too. If you want the best audio, if you're recording on like Zoom or Riverside or StreamYard or wherever it is that you're recording, hardwire your internet. My God. Because it's just going to chop up it's going to only record like, yeah, just plug in the Ethernet. Just plug in the Wi-Fi or plug in the internet, please. Okay, done. Hot coffee. I'm so excited. See, it's the little things that just make your day. And brought the donuts. Glazed blueberry cake donuts. Joe says, +1 buffer settings. Isn't it funny how just the smallest little tweak can make such a difference or all the difference? But you don't know what it is. And there could be so many different factors that it could be. Maybe that was one of the most frustrating parts for me, was figuring out all the minutia of settings that had to be dealt with. It's difficult and it's frustrating and time consuming, but once it's done, it's a temporary process. Remind you of that too. It's a temporary process to get everything set up properly. But once it's done, it's done. And you can move on with life. Happy and joyful says, wonderful live. I'm learning so much. Good. Glad to hear it. Maddie. Hey, Maddie. I'm interested in joining Platinum Group this week. Yay. Love to have you. Do you recommend joining through my computer with the setup? I don't have a webcam, but can get one. If you want to join my Platinum Group, we do not require you to be on camera. However, you may need one to be, it's through Zoom. We meet through Zoom. So I don't know if you have to have a camera. You don't have to have it on. I mean, you could just be black screen with your name. That's fine. We do not require you to be in your booth. We do not require you to participate. If you want to be a fly on the wall and just listen, you can. Of course, you're obviously encouraged to participate if you want to step out of your comfort zone and start doing the things, but you don't have to, right? You don't have to be there the whole time. You can jump in, jump out. You know, I mean, it's not like super, like, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, we're not strict about anything. You know, most people bring a drink to the meeting, you know, just come and hang out and learn some stuff, participate if you want to. Doesn't have to be booth quality. But I don't know for Zoom if you have to have a camera or not. Like if it'll connect if you don't have a camera. I'm not sure about that point. Oh, thank you, Natalie. It does rock. We've got a great group of people. Nikolai says, ha! Tanya says, Platinum is my VO family. I like the other groups I'm in, but this is where I've learned the most and felt most welcome. Oh, good. Good, Tanya. Dwight says, good day, Angela. My fellow Angelistas. Audiobooks at Sea was amazing and so worth the time and money. We worked our butts off. Intense and wonderful. I'm looking forward to joining next year. Missed it the last couple years. This was the third year, I think? Second year, third year, I think, right? I'm hoping to go next year with you guys. I'd love to see you guys in person. Dwight says, for those on Riley watch, she went through surgery successfully yesterday, and I'm happy to say my fur baby is home and happy. Drugged, but happy. Yay! Let's see if we can find some more questions. Joy is here. Hey, Joy. Dave says, hi. Hi. New to this, and your advice experience is invaluable. Don't inflate my head, but thank you. Question is, if there are scammers on the ACX author side, I got a suspicious script for an audition the other day. I mean, honestly, there are scammers everywhere. I mean, anytime you make yourself available online at all, period, you're vulnerable to scammers, whether it's on a platform that we find work on or social media. There are scammers everywhere, all the time, trying to catch you sleeping at the wheel. The key is knowing what to look for. Now, if your spidey senses are tingling and you get a script that is a little suspicious, what I would do is to look up that person. I would go look up that title on on Amazon. Read there's usually like an about the author page. I mean, authors would take the time to fill out an about the author page so you can read a little bit about the author. Make sure the name on the manuscript as the author and the actual author match, that they are the same person. If they're not, ask. Some authors use a pen name. Some authors use indie publishers. You know, it could be a number of different reasons, but usually if the names don't match, the author on the manuscript and the person that you're talking to don't match, that's the first question I ask. Does the author know that we're doing this? Do we have permission? Who are you, basically, right? Look up the author's webpage. See if it looks legit. See if they have a social media following. You can do all that stuff. Do a little Scooby-Doo on this person and see if they, you know, if your fears are, you know, you can do that stuff. Look up the author. See if they have any books sold, right? One other thing I want to mention about if the script is more like an advertisement instead of like if it's the back matter of the book where it sort of gives a snapshot, like a book blurb. If it's one of those, I usually don't submit those as auditions if that's what the author is looking for, because there have been some instances where authors will take your audition, if that's in fact what the script is, they'll take your audition and use it as marketing material, because that's essentially what a book blurb is, right? Or the back matter of the book. It's why should you buy this book, essentially. So in those cases, if I want to audition for the book, but the copy that they gave me to audition with is a book blurb or something that feels like an advertisement, I'll go to the book on Amazon, and there's typically like a look inside where you can see a few pages of the book, and I'll choose something from the book there to audition with, or send them a general demo, right? KJC says, hi. Hi. For my starter booth, blanket walls, better to be square or rectangular shape. I'm sure Caesar could give us the opinion, but do you plan on changing the shape of the room? I mean, at the very least, make sure that all of your walls, like hard, smooth surfaces, are covered with something dense and floofy to help absorb some of those vibrations that bounce around the room. If you want to get technical, I'm sure there's ideal shapes that work better for, you know, for the sound. But I mean, most of us are just working with what we have. So I would say whatever one is the most quiet, and then develop that space for recording. Which space is furthest away from noise, essentially, you know, which is the furthest away from the air conditioner, or there's no refrigerator on the other side of the wall that's going to cause a hum, furthest away from traffic noise. That's how I would probably choose your space. Caesar says, oh, by the way, I just signed a contract for my first non-spicy audiobook to celebrate. I bought a whole wheel of brie cheese. Why does that not surprise me? Caesar says to Dave, scammers are everywhere, including ACX. You'll eventually learn how to filter the sussy ones out. They're often quite obvious. Joy says, actually, my problem is in getting booked. Just keep going, Joy. I mean, I can tell you that you've been getting better every day. So just keep auditioning. Joe says, the less symmetrical, the better. Good advice. Dylan says, good a job, Caesar. A whole wheel. I bet that cost a lot of cheddar. But you guys are funny. Dwight says to Dylan, voiceover cheddar is English, brie is French. Their food is small. And says, very nice pun work. Is that where you get all your gigs with your wit? But seriously, are you doing more audiobooks or short form kind of gigs? KJC says, I have a 9x9 room that I'm going to build a smaller booth inside. One wall shares with kitchen. Going to have an air pocket around the whole thing and double blanket walls. Mr. Gibbs. How you doing, Mr. Gibbs? Currently stuck on what my starting rate as a voice actor should be. Should I start high or low? It's going to depend on where you are, what you're doing. And I say that because you want to have a consistent rate across the board, right? You don't want to charge X here and then Y here, because if a client Googles you and sees the two different pricing, you're going to have a problem on your hands. But some sites will they have their own predetermined rates for what you're offering. And there's also could be strategy, right? If you're on a site where you find work where there's a lot of competition with many different, ranges of rates, it could be, it just depends on what you're doing and where, I suppose. RJ says, thank you for this live session. You are so very welcome. I'm glad you're here. Caesar says to Dylan, those were great cheese puns. Okay, let's get over the cheese, y'all. Angel says, hello. Hello. Question regarding starting out. I'm setting up my demos on my website focused on young adult science fiction, nonfiction, and female-driven fiction, if that's a thing. I'm sure it is. There's a niche for everything, right? Any thoughts on demo compilation? I would say have small samples of each of those genres, and even those genres in varying tones, depending on what's going on in the narration or the context, and then have a compilation with a little bit of everything in it, right? So you want like an audiobook reel of everything you can do, and then have smaller snippets of maybe young adult male female dialogue, and then young adult dramatic scene, young adult, you know what I mean? I would have some variables. I'd have some options, because you may have somebody ask you for something specific. You may have let's just say nonfiction author that says they presented you with a nonfiction manuscript and they are looking for a sample of what you've done before in nonfiction. You can send them one of those. Or perhaps you have an indie publisher reach out to you and ask you for a demo reel. Then you would send them the demo with a little bit of everything in it. That way they can see the range of what you can do. That's what I would do. Joe says to Ziegel, or regarding Ziegel's, I am the new Joe in your premium group. This is a name I've used for music. I like it. Am I saying that right? Ziegel Zoran? That's a cool name. Sup, Joe? Dwight says to Katya, Angela is so kind. Damn. The truth is, if you are at professional levels in every area of your VO, then $200 per finished hour is good. But if you are a true newbie, don't shoot yourself in the foot, in my honest opinion. Yeah, I think that's kind of what I was trying to say earlier. It might reduce your chances to find work faster, more work faster, But ultimately do what you want to do, but I would make sure that your audio quality was up to snuff before you started charging higher rates at the very least. Warm coffee makes me happy. Dylan says, hi, and personally, I do both short and long form. I voice a couple YouTube channels that I got from Fiverr and Upwork, and I do odd jobs from those and platforms, all while producing audiobooks. Life Unleashed says, hi there. Colleen from Cape Cod, first time catching the live. So excited. We're so excited that you're here. Dwight says, anyone who has questions about audiobooks at sea, feel free to reach out to me. So much info and great experience. It was a great mirror and validation process for me. Donnie here has got elaboration. I am in a royalty share hole. I am finishing my 5th book, just not feeling comfortable deciding on a rate. Also, should I tell my return authors that I am now charging per finished hour and what rate? You can do both. You can do both. It's going to be hard to switch them over from royalty share if that's just their preferred way to do it. But ultimately, it's up to you which way you want to go. So how many books have you done so far, Donnie? 5th book total or 5th royalty share? If it's your 5th book total, I would say you're at least $100, $150 per finished hour. You've got enough experience under your belt to command that, if not more. But it's up to you how you want to move forward with each client. You'll kind of have at this point, you should have enough of a rapport built that you have maybe sort of an idea of how they may respond, or if that's something that they're just not interested in. I mean, but it's worth a conversation, at least. Right? Don't be afraid to ask these questions. They're just people like you and me. Authors, business owners, they're just people. We're all just people. Nothing to be afraid of. Dylan says you could always start out at Royalty Share Plus at a lowish rate, or you could do that if you aren't comfortable charging too much. Maddie says, okay, great. So I could do this on my iPad to start off. I wouldn't. I would not use an iPad to record voiceover. I would not. Gregory says, far north Dallas in the house in refinement mode. What's up, Gregory? Nice to see you here. Jim says, all of these issues are about equal with me. Good morning from Memphis, by the way. Yeah, and they will continue to be, because once you're working on one thing, something else kind of gets put on the back burner, and then you focus on that thing, and then something else is, it's kind of like a revolving, you just have to touch each one at certain points. It's sort of like a never-ending thing, Pushing too many buttons here. Dwight says, audiobooks at sea was amazing, but do not make the mistake that it is the end-all be-all. There is no such thing, but it is a hell of a building block on steroids. I would take 100 Angela's and her platinum group over one audiobook conference any day. That's nice, Dwight. Angela and her platinum is foundational and is grounding. Conferences and training are the add-ons. Thank you, Dwight. It was kind of you. Dave says, why would a scammer be interested in an audition by me? What could she gain by a snippet of my... they could take your voice and sell it, create an AI model out of it. Insert bad idea here. Usually if what they're giving you is something they could use, like if it is, again, like I said before, if the copy they give you to audition with was back matter, a book blurb, maybe they're looking to have an AI produce the audiobook, but they want a real human to read the book blurb, and they're going to take that and use, it could be a number of things. But it's free work. It's a free voice to use as they please, basically. I hate to say it, but it's reality. It's the chance we take. Katya says, thank you for your honest input, Dwight. Also, thank you much, Angela. Valuable advice. And yes, you pronounced my name superbly. Oh, thank you. Did something superbly today. Can mark that off my list. Dave says the script was just the instructions for the audition. That's odd. He says it was confusing, but he wanted it that way. Was the book you were auditioning for like instructional? I mean, that's the only thing I can think of. That's just odd. But, some people are particular in what they want. I don't know. I probably would have skipped it. Like you, I would have went, this is weird. I'm going to choose something else. Oh, that was the continuation. Caesar says, to KJ, ideally, I would recommend a rectangular room for better acoustics. Symmetrical rooms tend to create more standing waves and reflections, making you sound boxy. Jim says, in ACX, I was approached twice by some widow wanting me to help distribute her massive inheritance. It's just like those emails we used to get from like the Saudi princes, looking for money to help do this or that, or, it's the same thing. Anytime you're accessible to anyone, anyone with a nefarious intent is going to reach out to you they're just looking for suckers and you're not one. So that's it. Right. Jennifer says, as a newbie, is it better to just go for royalty pays to build your resume or go for either or both? Whatever you're comfortable with. What's more important, I think, in the very beginning is for audiobook narrators is to find something that you enjoy narrating. It has to be something that you enjoy, right? So it makes the process of that first book that much more enjoyable, and your enjoyment is going to come through in your voice if it's something that you like talking about or a topic that you enjoy, that you yourself enjoy. That's going to come through a whole lot easier naturally in your narration than if it's, a book about taxes. Right? I think that's more important in the beginning. No matter what they're offering for pay. And then you always keep in mind that you don't have to take what is offered. You can counter negotiate. You can tell them what your rates are and they can take it or leave it. It's up to you how you want to run your business. Right? Don't worry so much about your resume. Worry about building your confidence and your experience. KJ says, thanks all. You're welcome. Jim says, I hear that GVAA is a good source for rates. It's a good reference. Yes, gvaa.com. And then go to their rate guide tab. That's a good place to get an idea of voiceover audiobook rates. For sure. 16 Voyeur says, hi, Angela. How long should a sample be? If we're talking audiobooks, 2 minutes max. If you're talking like a demo compilation, like snippets of different things that you do, 3 minutes max, maybe, depending on how many snippets you have. There's no like set goal point. It can be however long you want it to be, but I would say 2 minutes or 3 minutes max. Because there's a good chance they're not going to listen through all of it anyway. They're usually going to hear the first few seconds and know if you're the right voice for this job or not, right? Jim says you need to pick topics you like and get into. The lack of interest will show on stuff you record just because. Absolutely. Maddie says, after doing a couple ACX royalty share books, what other platform would you recommend joining? Is Fiverr at Upwork more recommended? I'm on all three of those, and I can tell you that I get more audiobook work on Fiverr than I have on ACX for the last few years. I also, because of my presence on social media, I have a lot of authors that reach out to me directly through finding me on social media, which again is why I say you must market yourself on social media for that reason. And then there's, again, if you just Google audiobook publishing, The last time I did that, I literally had like 3 dozen different studios show up, or businesses, publishers that made audiobooks. Really, it's not, there's no secrets. I mean, the internet is a smorgasbord of information. Just type in your query into good old Google, and you'll find pretty much anything and everything you want to know, right? Karina says, "Hi. Hi. I'm a first timer here and hopping onto a bit late." Well, if you're late, you bring donuts. It's a rule. You bring pastries of some sort. Donuts. But apologies if this has been asked. But once you've got your VO career rolling, is there an average ratio of sent auditions to offers? Not really. It's different for everyone, because it's not so much about like there's a set return on investment. Again, with any kind of business where there's sales, you can expect around a 10% return on investment. Investment meaning auditions. But ultimately, it comes down to you being the voice they're looking for. So if you're not seeing a whole lot of jobs being booked versus the auditions that you've sent, that doesn't mean that you suck. It doesn't mean that your audio is bad. I mean, most of the time, right? Your audio probably could be, needing just a once over, some feedback that never hurts. But it's usually you're just not the voice they were looking for. And that is nothing personal against you. They're just looking for something specific, and you weren't it. So what? Keep auditioning. Maddie says, I meant join Platinum on my iPad. Oh, yes. Absolutely. Yep. Jim says, I avoid any association with AI. Same. Caesar says to Dave, the scam is actually more primitive. They give you a deal that's exciting, easy to do for a lot of money. Then they lock the payment behind an activation fee, then run away and ghost you. Anywhere, anytime you're online, they'll try you on. Sometimes you do get genuine outreach from authors looking for a specific voice if you have samples, and they will ask you directly to audition for their audiobooks. That happens too. Dwight says to Dave, I am sometimes a little cautious, so I would make sure my communications and metadata include the disclaimer stating audition is not for use in AI lexicon training. It's a good point. 16 Voyeur says, is $100 per minute? No. I started at 50, but you could start at 100. You could start at 150. But again, just make sure that what you're offering is reflective of that price. Right. Just be honest with yourself. Live with Tawhid? Am I saying that right? With the rise of AI, do you feel threatened or excited to compete with him? I don't see it as competition. I see it as a whole different category. There's the not quite real, quick and dirty, cheap AI that there's no soul or anything behind. It's just almost like creating images with Midjourney or like an AI created art thing. It's a completely different category from real life human emotion and a real life human behind it. It's a completely different category. I don't see it as competition at all. In fact, I get hired quite a bit to replace AI. AI is typically used as scratch in videos when I'm hired to record something, just to give an idea of timing. Like, will this bit of script, as it's being said in real time, will it fit within this section of the video? It'll be used as scratch, but then they'll hire a voice artist to replace it with a real voice. So it's a completely different category. Jim says, what channels are you marketing yourself on? Social media, you mean? I'm on TikTok, Instagram. As you know, I'm very present and available on YouTube. But from time to time, I'll reach out to some companies via Google. And, when I'm out searching, we've talked about this many times in my Platinum group, is just Googling businesses that could potentially use a voice artist. And I'll reach out to them, ask if they are in a need of my voice, if they use in-house talent, if they hire freelancers, that sort of thing. I have profiles on most major platforms, so I make myself visible everywhere. And always either as Angela O or voiceover Angela, so they can find me either way. Dwight says, just learning that ACX is a gold standard for VO audiobook resume review. Stages are 25, 50, and 100 books. Non-ACX books don't typically count for publishers reviewing you. I'm sad about that. Snacks. All the snacks. Karina says, awesome. Thank you for that. I shall remember to bring donuts next time. Yes, please. We like the snacks. Dwight says, another thing just learned, VO and audiobooks are almost considered two different career paths when reviewed by casting agents and publishing houses. Technically they are, but most voice actors can and usually do both. Your voice sound is obviously a major consideration. Alex Jensen says, I just got out of a meeting with donuts. I'll have to catch the replay. Until then, here's assorted donuts for all to grab on their way out. Thank you for sharing. Jim says, market on LinkedIn. I don't, but I know that I know some people who have found great success on LinkedIn. It's like not for everyone. One doesn't work better for everyone in most platforms, whether it's social media, pay to play, freelance marketplace. It seems to be that some people do really, really well on one platform, but not so much the other, and then vice versa. So that's why I always say to try everything. Make yourself visible everywhere, and then just sort of see where you're getting the most traction. And then once you discover that, focus on that. And then once you have that, your arms around that, and that's sort of, stable, then maybe you can start kind of focusing on others to build out. Dwight says, live voice is the choice when it comes to casting agents and publishing houses, but they are too worried about their jobs. Huge push to real voices at all levels. Participate in real voice socials. Dylan says, would having a 30-minute anime scene made up so I can voice the characters be a good way to market on the platforms? I mean, it's worth a try. Why not? I say, why not? If you have an idea that's outside the box, try it. I have to think that from a casting director's perspective, or even just an everyday Joe looking for a voicemail greeting for his business, he's probably filtering through so many different profiles and hearing, here's a voicemail greeting, here's a voicemail greeting. And then they come across a profile that's for voicemail greetings, but it's just a little bit out, like there was a little bit more effort put into it. It's creative. It's outside the box. That might just be the thing that sets you apart from everyone else. So if you have a creative idea that's outside the norm, why not try it? See if it gets some traction for you. You don't need permission to do that. Not you, Dylan, but everybody watching. Think outside the box and go for it. You don't need permission to do these things. Think like a business owner. Try these things. As long as they're within reason, you're not doing anything illegal, try it. See if it gets the attention. Yep, Caesar says, anything that makes you stand out usually makes you more contractable. Contractable. That's why I write my copy the way I do, design my site the way I do, and have a showcase trailer. Yeah, Caesar's got like cheeky humor in just about everything he does, and that's the thing that sets him apart. So do it. Joe says, does your VO fam have any Discord groups where the things get... Yes. My Platinum group comes with a private Discord server where all the members are very active. We have, I don't even know how many different threads we have in our Discord for just about any topic you can think of, from recipes to spicy books to technical questions to watching people work live and asking questions of them, to the get-togethers after our Thursday night meetings, the after party. I mean, I think the Discord the access to our Platinum Group Discord is worth the membership fee in and of itself. 100%. The everyday Joe. I mean, it could be. I mean, hey, I'll take some royalties on that. Angel says, that's a great idea, Dylan. I was thinking of writing a documentary scene and voicing it to add to my demo. Why not? Do it. There's no limit on the amount and type of demos you can have. If you have a client that reaches out for something kind of similar, like a documentary, like, hey, Angel, do you have a demo that I'm thinking of doing, like a documentary video, how to something, but I need like a documentary type of a narration style. Do you have something demo wise that I can share with my client that's in this style? And you go, I got just the thing for you. I just created this really cool, and then send it to them. That might just blow their minds. Do it. If anything, it's good practice, right? Trying new things, adding some sound effects or music or something. Karina says, maybe an odd question. I've seen almost nothing in regard to singing VO work. I have a background in music, and I was wondering if that's something that could be marketable. Yes. Think children's books, namely. And there have been some other situations, I think a couple video games where I was asked to sing. They asked if I could, I have music producers who need like sound bites or like vocals for music. Think if you look at my playlist on my channel here of I think they're called demos. What did I name that playlist? Anyway, but it's videos with my voice in it. And there's one where there was it's like a big rave party and my voice is like mixed in. It's part of a transition. I mean, so voiceover could be used for so many different things. And some of it, a small portion of it has to do with music. So definitely say that you have experience with that. That could be just the thing, again, that makes you hireable. All life experience is experience, and it could be just the thing that makes you hireable. See you Thursday night. See you then, Dwight. Life Unleashed says, few questions, please, and thank you. Where can I go to learn EQ effects about your Platinum Group and about your Platinum Group? EQ effects, again, everybody's got so many different variables from space to space to space to person to person to person. That is something that's going to need to be individualized to you and your space. So getting with somebody one-on-one to figure out what's best for you is ideal and is the best way to go about it. But if you're looking for just general information about what is what and what it does, YouTube has got great videos on that. I have a few on my channel where I talk about voiceover effects specifically. For my Platinum Group, go to my website, voiceoverangela.com. Go to the, what tab is it? It's not Platinum. It's the other one. Oh, poop. What is it called? I can't think of it, but I think there might even be a pop-up. But it's on the plans and pricing page where I have a couple of courses and then my Platinum Group. It's there. If you go, you know what? I think there's a link in the description below this video where you could just scroll down a bit in the description. I think there is a link to join the Platinum Group. I could have just said that. That would have been so much easier. Caesar says, I actually booked a job from the immersive audio demo I created, so you never know whether or not what you do is something someone out there is looking for. Exactly. Caesar says to Life Unleashed, join the Platinum Group from Angela's website, join our Discord server, and talk to one of our sound engineers. We have a few in there, starting with me. There you go. Joe says, me too. Glad you asked that question. Joel says, I'm so fixated on direct marketing and voiceover, but a small portion of me is still thinking I should join some casting and or P2P sites. All my samples are DIY though. Should I join them anyway? Yes. All my samples and demos have always been DIY. always been DIY. I've never had someone else create a demo for me. I've made them all myself. Good. Jennifer says, I love the Platinum group. Maybe I will be brave enough Thursday to finally speak whenever you're comfortable. Obviously, it's encouraged if you want to get the most out of it, but you don't have to. You don't have to participate. You don't have to show your face. I mean, you can just sit there and listen if you want to. Karina says, thanks so much. This has been helpful. Good. I'm so glad. Well, y'all, it's about that time. I've got to get back to work myself. But again, as always, thank you for joining. I always appreciate the time that you guys take out of your days to come and hang out with me, ask questions, give great advice to others. Everyone is always so supportive and helpful and loving, and I love that about you guys. Again, if you're looking to join a group, if you're interested in joining my Platinum group, we'd love to have you there. Go to my website, voiceoverangela.com. I believe there is a link to join or to go there directly in the description down below. If you're watching this in Team Replay, definitely consider subscribing, at the very least liking this. It'll help push my face into the face of other people looking for this information. So for that, I appreciate it. But otherwise, I will be here next Tuesday. Same bat time, same bat channel. And until then, I'll see you guys later. Bye. Thank you for listening to She-Lancer Mom Entrepreneur with VoiceOver Angela. That's me. For more information about me, visit my website, voiceoverangela.com, or hop on over to my YouTube channel, VoiceOver Angela. Again, thanks for listening. Have a great day.